Good morning, everyone. I'm holding a copy of yesterday's Palm Beach local daily news paper, and the headline is, U.S. has long history of college protests. And the article basically goes on to condone and support the protesters on college campuses, saying that there's a long history of college students bringing about positive change, citing examples like the Vietnam War, fighting apartheid in South Africa, fighting for civil rights in America, fighting for free speech, and supporting and encouraging what we're witnessing today on the college campuses. And this is in our local town. Here we have college kids who, are covering their faces. If they really believe in what they're standing up for, why are they all wearing masks and covering their faces with Palestinian garb, not to be seen and spotted? Why don't they show their faces if they really believe in what they're doing? But these are not protesters for positive change. These are anti-Semitic protests that are calling for the death of Jews. Protests that are intimidating and harassing Jewish students, robbing them of not just their free speech, but their free passage and access to school facilities. Students who pay tuition to be on that campus. The rights of the students, the Jewish students, are being violated. Furthermore, this is not just anti-Semitic, but this is pro-terrorism. These students are openly supporting Hamas, holding Hezbollah flags, calling for the death of Israeli soldiers, full-blown pro-terrorism. And yet, the media, running a USA Today article in our local paper, is supporting and encouraging these students. This week's Torah portion is all about Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. And our rabbis teach us that atonement is not just for sins of commission, but sins of omission. That we have a responsibility to stand up against hate and anti-Semitism and those who support violence and terrorism. And if we remain silent and indifferent, we are guilty as well. How much more so if we actually encourage and support it, then we are accomplices to the crime. If you look at the Torah, the book of Bereshis, when the brothers realized that they had sinned, what do they say? They say, we have sinned because we heard our brother Joseph crying out to us and we remained indifferent. The sin of the brothers was the indifference to the cry of Joseph. Our Jewish students on college campuses are crying out to us, not just to Jews, but to all good Americans. And we cannot be silent during this hour. We cannot ignore their cry, their call. We must respond to them and show them tremendous love and support and stand up against these pro-terrorist protesters. Furthermore, when you look at the whole story of Moshe, why was he selected? He was selected because he did not remain indifferent. He left his palace to go out to stand up for the plight of his brethren. This is a defining moment in American history. We know that during the Holocaust, too many were silent. Too many were indifferent to the plight of the 6 million. We cannot remain silent, and we cannot allow our local newspapers to run articles that are supporting students who are pro-terrorism and openly anti-Semitic. Imagine if these college campuses were anti-black or anti-Asian or anti-Muslim or anti-LGBTQ. There would be an outcry, an uproar. But if it's anti-Semitic, suddenly there is silence. And furthermore, Americans have to learn from history that this silence we will all pay the price for this. This indifference or this encouragement and condoning this will affect us all. There's a famous story in the Midrash about a man who was drilling a hole in the cabin, in his cabin on the boat. And someone said, "What are you doing? You're drilling a hole in the boat?" And he said, "It's my cabin. It doesn't affect you. It's my personal cabin. I could do what I want." They said to him, "Of course, you fool. If you drill a hole in your cabin, the whole ship will sink and we're all going to die. Don't think that, oh, if my kids are not on American campuses, or if I'm not Jewish, it doesn't pertain to me. What is happening in America today on the college campuses, ultimately we will all be drowned by this hate and this anti-Semitism and this pro-terrorism open support. This is the time for all of us to stand up and stand loud and clear, and all leaders and those who have influence, especially in the media, have to use their power, their voice, their influence to speak out as loudly and as clearly as many are doing. And kudos to those elected officials that are bringing in the police to arrest these pro-terrorist protesters, because if we remain silent, we will all pay the price. Let us not have to say that we are guilty for the sin of indifference and silence this coming Yom Kippur. Have a good day.